Subscribe right now because what started as a chaotic nightclub moment has now escalated into a full-on legal war, with Cardi B at the center of a lawsuit that could cost her millions, her image, and maybe even more than that, because one drink, one microphone, and one decision on stage set off a chain reaction no one was ready for. And now we've got Jane Doe, the woman who caught that mic Cardi launched like a grenade, suing the rap superstar in what may become one of the messiest courtroom battles we've seen in a while. And before you dismiss it as just another petty celeb scandal, you need to hear what actually happened. Because this isn't just about Cardi being angry or dramatic, this is about fan artist boundaries, public humiliation, physical injury, and whether or not a celebrity should be held to the same standards when they snap in the heat of the moment. And the crazy part is, it all started with water. On July 29, 2023, at Dre's nightclub in Las Vegas, Cardi B was performing in the blazing summer heat, drenched in sweat under blinding lights, when she told her fans to throw water on her to cool her down. And they did exactly that, even cheering when Cardi herself poured a full bottle on her chest and flipped her hair like it was part of the act. And somewhere in that audience was Jane Doe, a fan from Ohio who'd traveled solo to Vegas just to see Cardi B live, claiming she was a die-hard supporter who admired Cardi for her rawness, her hustle, her story. But all of that changed in an instant, because Jane joined in like everyone else and lightly splashed a small portion of her drink toward the stage, assuming, like many others, that this was part of the energy, part of the experience. But then it happened. Cardi, in what the lawsuit describes as, quote, apparent anger, turned toward Jane and without a single word of warning, launched her microphone directly at her face. And this wasn't some symbolic toss. This wasn't a drop the mic moment. This was a full-force throw, and that microphone connected hard, allegedly leaving Jane with real physical injuries and public humiliation that she says still haunts her. And now she's suing Cardi B not just for battery, but for assault, negligence, and emotional damages, claiming that what Cardi did wasn't just unexpected. It was dangerous, excessive, and utterly out of line. And if you think this is one of those celeb gets sued and pays a quick settlement situations, you're dead wrong, because Jane Doe's legal team came prepared, outlining multiple causes of action and naming not just Cardi, but the nightclub itself, Dre's, for what they call negligent hiring, poor performer supervision, and lax security protocol. And you might be thinking, how can someone go from being a fan to filing a lawsuit? But the answer is in the details, because Jane says she admired Cardi, she looked up to her. And the moment Cardi turned on her, it wasn't just physically painful, it was emotionally devastating. And according to the suit, Jane froze in fear the second she saw that mic go up, knowing she was about to be hit. And that exact moment, when she feared the incoming impact, is what her team is calling assault, while the actual hit itself qualifies as battery. And that's not all, because they also claim Cardi's negligence played a huge role in this, since any other performer who told their crowd to splash them would never retaliate violently if someone actually did it. And let's be honest, the whole thing was caught on video, and that footage went viral instantly. But what most people missed is how Cardi reacted in the aftermath. She kept performing, barely acknowledging what had just happened, while security scrambled to figure out what to do, and Jane, stunned, bleeding, and embarrassed, was escorted out without any apology or medical attention. And that's when things started shifting from chaotic moment to legal crisis, because Jane says the injury wasn't just physical. It was reputational, as her face became associated with the Cardi mic throw meme that flooded the internet for weeks, with people laughing, remixing, and trivializing what she claims was a traumatic assault. And while some fans said she asked for it, others pointed out that Cardi had literally told the crowd to throw water, and then punished someone for doing what she asked, which makes the case even more complicated, especially when you factor in Cardi's history of volatility. Because, let's not forget, this isn't her first run-in with drama, lawsuits, or aggression. From previous altercations with fans and reporters to her now infamous strip club brawl that also landed her in court, and in each case, Cardi claimed she was provoked, pushed too far, and acting in self-defense. But how long can that narrative hold up when the evidence stacks higher each year? And while Cardi's legal team hasn't commented on this new suit, insiders say she's preparing to fight back hard, possibly claiming that the mic throw was aimed at someone else and that Jane was hit by mistake, or that it was an impulsive act in the heat of the moment, not meant to cause harm. But legal experts are saying that argument may not be enough, especially since the video shows Cardi clearly targeting the source of the splash and throwing with intent, not just dropping the mic or flinging it randomly. And to make matters worse, the lawsuit includes emotional distress, arguing that being hit in a public setting by your favorite artist and then going viral for it has caused serious mental anguish, which her lawyers say is worth major compensation. And while Cardi's fans are split, some defending her, saying she had every right to defend herself, others criticizing her for once again letting her temper take over, the real battle is happening behind closed doors, in legal offices and court filings. And depending on how the judge sees it, Cardi could be facing real consequences, especially if Jane's team proves the throw was targeted and unnecessary, And while Cardi may be able to afford a payout, the bigger issue is what this does to her image. Because even if she wins the case, the public perception of Cardi as a hot-headed, unpredictable performer may stick harder than ever. And if more fans start to feel unsafe, start questioning her professionalism, it could affect her bookings, endorsements, and brand relationships, especially in a world where artists are expected to maintain control. No matter what happens on stage, and meanwhile, the venue itself isn't off the hook, because Jane is also suing Dre's for negligent event management and security, claiming that if they had better protocols in place, better staff training, or more responsive personnel, the situation could have been de-escalated before it turned physical, and that opens a whole other can of worms. Because if the court finds the venue partly responsible, it could lead to changes in how performers interact with fans. At live shows, with stricter boundaries and clearer rules about crowd engagement. And while all this unfolds, Cardi is out here performing, posting, acting like nothing's happening. But behind the scenes, her team is in full damage control, reviewing footage, prepping statements, and deciding whether to settle or fight. And Jane? She's not backing down, saying in interviews that she just wants justice, that she never expected to be assaulted by someone she admired, and that she's not doing this for clout or money, but to make sure no other fan ends up getting hurt for doing what the artist literally asked them to do. And when you hear it like that, you start to realize this case isn't about hype, it's about accountability. And now the world is watching, waiting to see whether Cardi will apologize, settle, deny, or drag it through court. Because no matter what path she takes, this story has already changed the way fans and celebrities interact on stage. And whether you side with Cardi or believe Jane's account, one thing is clear. This wasn't just a mic toss, it was a public incident with legal, emotional, and reputational consequences, and the fallout is just beginning. So hit that subscribe button now, because when the next court filing drops, you better believe it's gonna be messy.